Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of Infinite Horizon, the first episode of Infinite Horizon of 2021.
That's
Woo!
true.
We're
Yeah,
almost a year old.
we are. No, I literally, today or yesterday, sometime, I saw on Facebook like
The
the
memory of
memory of like the announcement of it, of the whole thing, and it was
past announcements
Oh gosh, how time it does
has no
itself.
meaning.
It really doesn't.
It just is, but also isn't somehow.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Whatever we say it is.
Welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. Super excited to get back into our little space show. Before we get started, we do have some announcements and also like an explanation, which I'll get to after the announcements. So we'll start with the announcements. So last night, we launched Into Deep, our Water Deep Dragon Heist. God damn it. Water Deep Dragon Heist actual play. Rose, don't even think about it. I see you out there. I see you out there. Yeah, so we're gonna never, I don't even know why I bother. Yeah, so that was really good. I was like glued to the screen the whole time. It was very exciting. Just a really wonderful cast of people. So yeah, the first episode is out. You can watch it on VOD. But it will be on YouTube tomorrow, theoretically. That was definitely a thing I was supposed to do this afternoon. Doesn't matter. It's fine. It'll be up there. It'll be there at a time tomorrow. So yeah, that will be something that you can look forward to. If you missed it, well, that's on you, and I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, and then of course this week, Ramblemancy on Friday. We will return with Ramblemancy once again, 7 p.m. Pacific time, for our special guest, Scriv the Bard, who is excellent. She's just a wonderful human being. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to be talking about teaching tabletop RPGs. So how you get people involved in tabletop RPGs who've never played them before, and how you get people introduced to a new tabletop RPG that they've never played before, and basically just sort of making sure that you're taking care of people at your table. It's going to be a really fun topic. I'm very excited. Always relevant. So yeah. And we've talked about it before on this channel, but it's always good to get new perspectives on it. So I'm very excited to talk with Scriv about it. Other announcements is that we currently have theoretically launched our new season 2 updated art merch. We have a shirt and we have the stickers. However, the shirt is currently unavailable through Streamlabs. So as soon as they get that shirt back in, then you'll be able to get it for yourself. But the stickers are available. So like the updated art stickers can currently be purchased from our merch store. So I think that's most of the channel announcements. So now that explanation I was talking about. So US laws being what they are, and Twitch ignoring us as it has been, we tonight will not be, and actually for the foreseeable future until we get a new one, not be running our usual title sequence. So unfortunately, the old title sequence is dead. So the previous episode is the last time that our title sequence will ever appear on this stream until we get a new one, which we are
Take it up
on.
with your representative.
Yeah, take it up with your representative. Go talk to tell Congress to get rid of that shit. Because listen, we have a license, but the way Twitch handles things, I'd rather just not get involved with anything that is anywhere in the vicinity of felonies. So
Yeah.
Call your representative, say, but I want to say who will save us in chat when Infinite Horizon starts.
Oh no, wait, I just realized, yeah, we don't want to say that.
I think the staffer will really appreciate that gets
Yeah.
the call, I think.
they'll definitely
Wait,
understand.
you want
they're
Infinite
also
Horizon 2?
If
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Like if they don't understand what you're talking about when you call them, definitely do plug Infinite Horizon for them. You know,
Yeah.
'cause I think that'll be a
Thanks.
good incentive for them to change to throw that whole bill out. Ask
will save
them
us, Bill.
who will save us from copyright laws. Sorry. Anyway, so starting off strong. So that's where we're at with that. All right. So I know that there are other announcements. Caitlin has some stuff that she wants to talk about. So Caitlin, go for it.
I had a lot of stuff going on this week. Yesterday I was on Roll20. We played Thirsty Sword Lesbians, and I'm pretty sure they put VODs up like within like a week or so. So keep an eye out for that. It was a really quick game. It was just under 2 hours. I played with B Zelda, who ran the game for us, who is favorite of many of us.
Everyone. Be just the favorite.
Yeah.
Just B is just great. And also it's B's birthday today, so
Yeah.
everyone should go say happy birthday to B Zelda.
Yeah, so happy birthday to them.
Anyways, anyway, with a lot of cool people, Thirsty Sword Lesbians, and it was very horny, and I wasn't the one who made it over PG-13 this time. I didn't swear at all. It was great because I had right before it went live, I had to be like, we're not swearing.
Wait, hold on. Wait, you just said this time.
Yep, the last time I was on Roll20, I swore.
You.
Nope, the last time I was on Roll20, I swore because I didn't know we weren't allowed to. Anyways, That's not the promo I'm making right now. That'll happen eventually. Tonight I'm here. Tomorrow, we are dusting off the cobwebs of my personal Twitch channel. And at 6 p.m. Central Time, my sisters are going to make an appearance on my channel. And I'm letting them shave my head. And do a bunch of just really probably fucked up shit to my hair on the way there and to raise money for charity. It's the oh my gosh, I've already forget. It's 4 words, which means that I don't remember all of them. Hold on. We're raising money for the First Nations Development Institute. Yeah, Waterdeep Dragon Heist. No, for the First Nations Development Institute, because they have a COVID relief, emergency relief program happening, so we're going to help raise money for them. But yeah, so both my sisters are coming. It's going to be fun and weird and ridiculous. And then season 2 Power Play starts on Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm really excited. So yeah, that's what I've got going on.
Oh my gosh. Dolph32 said, definitely didn't steal the idea from Brian David Gilbert. Nope.
I didn't though. That's why I'm so mad about it.
Yeah.
I
stole it from you.
Yeah.
I know. I tweeted about it a week ago and I was like, let's do this thing. And then Brian David Gilbert put out a video that was exactly that thing. And I was like, you stole my bit.
So again, talk to your representatives about copyright law. No. Yeah, awesome. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a fun stream, I think. All right. Anybody else have anything that any burning things that they want to talk about right now?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I think this is going to be the first stream before that one. Yeah. I'm going to be in a Ram of the Frost Maiden campaign over on Vanna's channel, Havana Rama. I'm very nervous because she's got so many things planned, so many sponsors and people watching. I'm very nervous, but I'm very excited to play my character. That's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, 19th of January. And be there, please. I need some faces I recognize to calm my nerves.
Yeah, just show up and heckle Drac from the chat.
Please, honestly, heckle me. It'll make me so much more comfortable.
No, I meant that seriously because that's the same way I'm the same way. Yeah. Like if there are people in chat heckling me, like I feel better. Like
you heard it here.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm very excited for that too. Holy crap. Yeah. Okay. Well, if that's everything, then we're gonna try something a little bit different today for our recap. And we'll just set that up. So previously on Infinite Horizon, in pursuit of Awakener, the crew rescued a team of scrappers from the clutches of a strange moth creature, discovering in the aftermath that the captain of the rescued crew was Mason's childhood friend, Cade. After turning over her ship's black box to Bina, Cade described how Awakener had shot down her vessel before jumping away on an unknown course. As Bina, Ada, and Jade set to work cracking the black box data, Mason and Cade had a heart-to-heart. As all of this was taking place, Peach confronted Taeon about omitting the fact that he'd reversed their deaths on his last trip to the past. Unable to find common ground, Peach and Taeon ended the conversation with a new tension between them. Elsewhere, Bina, Ada, and Jade finished cracking the black box from Cade's ship. From it, they extrapolated a potential location for Awakener near a space storm called the Terminus Maelstrom. Though the crew were uncertain as to whether they would be able to navigate the storm, they resolved to make the attempt for Alma's sake. Through a combination of teamwork and Bina's superb piloting skills, the crew successfully navigated the maelstrom, a feat that had been previously thought impossible. At the center of the storm, the crew found Awakener adrift in the dark, broadcasting variations on a single message: "I've lost the light. I have to find the light." The crew boarded Awakener and found the ship in complete disarray, inhabited by ghostly projections of Alma. Desperate to find their friend, Bina opened herself fully to her empathic senses, entering into a protective mind space created by Alma. After some time, Bina was able to reassure Alma that it was safe to come back to the ship, and the two returned from the strange dreamscape. Using the last of her panic-heightened powers, Alma teleported the crew out of the maelstrom, where they were able to begin repairs. And that pretty much brings us up to where we left off. So I believe when we left off, you had made some cursory repairs on the ship. So where we're gonna pick up today is probably actually just a few, like maybe about a day or so later, because I believe where we left off, you'd been where Alma sort of transported everybody was within about a day or so of the conduit. During this time, I would say, is when like Bina has been kind of working on just sort of putting the ship back together, making sure everything is back in working order, and the rest of you, mostly Peach, putting all of the rest of the ship back to the more aesthetic parts of the ship back together. Picking up the pillows that were thrown in the corner of the room and making sure that they're perfectly aligned. Yeah. During this time,
a lot of like just like cleanup, like general cleanup.
Yeah, sort of general. Yeah. During this time, Alma has mostly been resting, just sort of sleeping in med bay. And yeah. I think probably mostly attended by Peach, because I think out of all of you, Peach is the only one with actual like medical training.
Yeah,
like first aid sort of.
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's been sort of a busy time, even though you've had kind of a full day of just sort of basically down. It's not downtime exactly, as you've been sort of working to put everything back in order. But, is there anything in particular that you want to have done during this time?
Bina's just working, this is something she's freaked out about, a lot of things, and this is something she can put all of her time and energy into.
Fair enough.
And to not think about the bad, scary things.
That's, yeah, completely fair. All right. So,
I just think I want to just check in with Wire over that day, just to kind of brief her on what happened, and then kind of pick her brain a little bit about like kind of some next plans, and then also I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll go ahead and say that you sort of send some of those transmissions where you need to send them.
We also just want to generally monitor Alma and like,
sure.
Obviously like make sure she's okay. There's no funky
yeah.
side effects of anything, and yeah.
Yeah. Once Bina fully restores power to Awakener, it becomes pretty easy to just sort of hook her up to any kind of like vitals and whatever. And as from your sort of like rudimentary medical training, like best you can tell, she seems fine. She shows a lot of signs of exhaustion. And she's kind of in and out the whole time that you're sort of like looking in on her. More cogent sometimes than others, just sort of like sometimes just sort of barely coming out of sleep, saying a few nonsensical words and then going back to sleep. Sometimes awake and asking about the state of the ship and everyone on it, but for the most part she's sleeping a lot of the time. But yeah. So we'll go ahead and pick up then at as you are making sort of your final approach to the conduit, now that Bina has mostly restored Awakener to traveling conditions. We will go ahead and pick up with Bina in the engine room, just sort of making some final checks and adjustments. You hear Bina as you are sort of focusing on the readings that are scrolling in front of you, and just sort of listening to the comforting sounds of the engines around you. You become aware that you are hearing footsteps coming down the hallway, getting closer. As you turn to look, you can see the familiar form of Sedona stepping into the engine room. And she starts takes a couple steps down, sort of down the slight grade into the engine room, and then just sort of sits there, kind of in the doorway, kind of drawing her knees up to her chest, and she says, "How's it doing?"
Better. I mean, I've still got 6 months of cobwebs to clear out, give or take, but she'll move, so we can get out of here, very least.
Good.
How's Alma? Have you been in there recently?
Yeah, she was still sleeping when I was last in there. How are you doing?
I think she, genuinely has to think about it. For a second, be like, I'm so tired. I am so tired. I don't think I've ever been this tired in my life. And, you hope for, quick fixes of things, I know how to quick fix things, ships and stuff. Over there, and she points at something where she's I just totally removed this piece that she has in one of her hands and moved past it. It's fine. It's a quick fix. But your brain doesn't work like that. And I don't know. I know that. And I thought that, having got Alma back, that everything would be fine again, but I still feel, I'm happy she's here. I'm so happy that she's here, and then we got her back. But I still feel so tired.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's it's like we've all been on edge and waiting for months, and now that it's finally done, it's like we can, we're finally taking notice of it.
And now we get a 6-month-long adrenaline high crash.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a big nap.
I wish I could say I felt like we were going to be able to have one.
Yeah. Unlikely, right?
It's us.
It's us.
She sort of stands up and walks over to you, and just sort of looks over your shoulder, clearly not comprehending what's on your sort of projected screen.
Yeah.
Just sort of looking at it, and then kind of looks at you and just says, she sort of tentatively puts a hand on your shoulder and just says, I think it's just gonna take time.
Most things do.
And she hesitates for a moment, and then
Venus is already
just...
forearms. Y'all forearms.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of a rock,
Mm-hmm.
Good hugs.
Yeah. And Sedona steps away, kind of after a moment, just and says, "Well, I don't really say all that much that often, but if you ever want to talk about anything, I'm still here.
Same to you. You doing anything right now?
She says Jade volunteered to make some food, and I was going to watch, but I think I'd rather spare myself that.
I just want to see if you wanted to help. I might need some extra hands. I know I got plenty. But there's a lot going on in here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not great with this kind of stuff, but I can hand you things.
Perfect. And she'll slide back under the under the engine block, and we'll start pointing at stuff.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Elsewhere on the ship, Mason, what are you doing?
I'm gonna go up to the observatory, the top deck, with a cup of coffee in hand, and I just kind of stare out.
Yeah.
And is there anything? I think Mason was gonna check around just to see if there's anything he kind of left behind when he left the ship last. Left Awakener.
Yeah, I mean, you start moving around, glancing out of the view screen occasionally, seeing sort of the streaks of star lines going past as you make your final FTL approach to the conduit. Looking around, between Peach and anyone who has been helping, the place looks like it's been mostly put back together, like where before there was sort of debris kind of scattered around. Now everything looks mostly like it's back in place, but as you look around, you know what, Freeman? Go ahead and make me a roll.
Oh,
this is gonna be a perception roll that I'm gonna have
First
you make.
roll of the year.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Whoa,
It's a lot now that you put it that way, it's a lot of pressure.
It's not a high difficulty. The difficulty is 2.
It's okay. It'll just set the tone for the entire year of rolls.
Absolutely.
Okay,
No
I'm
pressure.
trained in perception.
So it brings
it's a skill thing.
Yeah, so it brings it down 1. So you're at a difficulty 1 now.
Here I go. I'm rolling.
All right.
11.
Okay, yeah. So you sort of look around, and through your powers of keen observation, you you note sort of like a piece of paper that seems to be wedged under one of the couches. And as you kind of go over to it, and you glance at it, you can see that it actually is one of yours. It's one of your notes that must have fallen out of a journal or something like that. And as you pull it up, you start kind of looking at it. You recognize some of the information on there. There's a page that you've been looking for some of this info. Like you've been certain that you wrote this down somewhere. But this is info that you wrote, some notes that you wrote to yourself back on Sulon a while back, when you were sort of finding information about disappearances that Alma actually helped you track. On it, there's sort of a bit of a sketch of a star map showing sort of like little hot points of places where people have disappeared, and notes labeling where the disappearances could be linked to corporate things similar to your own abductions, and those disappearances that had seemingly no connection to corporate movements whatsoever.
Right. I'll put that away, and I'm gonna grab my little notepad, and I'm gonna copy the information down, and kind of just see if I have it written elsewhere later.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Once I copy it down, I'm gonna roll it up into a ball, and I'm gonna eat it.
Sounds good. It does not taste that great, but it's paper. Mason's eaten worse before.
Coffee.
What? Okay.
All right. And as you kind of straighten up after kind of copying down the information and destroying the evidence, you turn and you can see ahead of you as the star lines slowly begin to slow. They begin to kind of slow the frequency with which they pass, indicating that the FTL jump is nearly over. We will go ahead and cut to Peach. Where are you?
I would probably be. I would probably be laying down, trying to kind of peek back in to Geoterra and to Aviva and kind of see what's kind of going on in that next kind of step.
Sure. I'll say that some of the things that you're coming across is it's looking like relations between the government of Geoterra as well as and between Geoterra and the Commonwealth are slowly starting. They're improving. It looks like they haven't quite been fully brought in because there are a few issues that it looks like they're having difficulty agreeing on. But you can see the progress that's been made. And actually, Aviva is has spearheaded a lot of that. Has sort of acted as a fairly moderate party between the two, sort of trying to find compromise.
Good work.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it's pretty impressive. Some of the issues that you had a difficult time getting anybody to agree on, she was able to find compromise with some of them. But yeah, nothing particularly of interest or anything that really stands out besides that.
Yeah, other than that, I think after that, I'm probably just going to be kind of taking advantage of the quiet to look through like all of the news that I can read of what's going on with like the Commonwealth and the Ascendancy, kind of the big kind of, if there are any skirmishes, what's going on there, like any kind of big, yeah,
there definitely have been mostly border testing, but there has been actually within the last like week or so since you set out, there has in fact been the first major open conflict between the two.
That's
a battle for one of the Commonwealth's most prominent shipyards. The Ascendancy sort of showed up very suddenly, and were able to disable a lot of the perimeter defenses and deal significant damage to some of the Commonwealth shipyards before being repelled by forces that just kind of jumped in from a neighboring system. It was pretty costly on both sides, but overall kind of a net loss for the Commonwealth.
okay.
Their military ship productions being severely hampered by the attack.
Okay.
But overall, as you're looking across it and you're looking at patterns, it's looking like things are escalating.
It's exactly what I thought would happen.
Where would Peach be while looking through all kind of this stuff?
I'm thinking she's kind of gone for like a quiet moment, so just kind of laying in a bunk. And I don't remember exactly. It's not private, right? We don't have private bunk areas. They're all like kind of communal.
No, you do now. Yeah, ever since the refit, you have your own.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then I'm in there. So unless someone came in, I mean, I'm just kind of talking to myself.
Sure. You're able to be in there by yourself for a significant period of time before you hear kind of the sort of soft door chime on your room's door.
Hello.
You hear kind of just over through the intercom. You hear Ada Sprix saying, "Peach, are you in there?"
Yeah, and I just press a button on my like kind of terminal, and it just slides open.
Yeah, and she kind of sort of leaning, kind of listening. She turns and says, "Oh,
I'm like leaning, like,
hi." She
hey.
she says, "Do you mind if I come in?"
Yeah, make yourself at home. I was
She,
just reading the news.
she steps in and says, I've been I was taking my turn keeping an eye on Alma, and everything
She
seems
seems
good.
okay.
Yeah, she's
Good.
sleeping a little bit more restfully now, not quite so fidgety, so
Good.
that's good. I think. I don't know. I'm not really I'm no medic, but yeah, everything looks to be going well.
Something on your mind, Ada?
Yeah, I'm not good with being circumspect, so
That's okay.
what's I felt some tension with you and Taeon. I mean, he hasn't said much about it, but I am I suspect I know, but
Well, what do you think happened? I'll tell you. I just want to know first.
Well, I know he hasn't been sleeping well ever since he came back. And sometimes I hear his thoughts in his sleep. Well, more like his emotions. It's complicated. Orzai things.
Neat.
And he talks in his sleep sometimes. Best I've been able to put together. Something happened the last time he came back, and he didn't tell you about it.
That would be it. I could tell Taeon was holding back information, and I understand that I don't really know how the whole time travel works. I'll say that. I don't know if he knows 100% how it works either, but we had a disagreement on the sharing of information. I hope it was resolved. I think that all the information that you both have, if we want to change the future, we have to know it in the present. So I was a little irritated with him, but hopefully he won't do it again.
I can understand that. I will say that where we come from, you have to understand that we've been fighting the corpse for our whole lives.
Mm-hmm.
When I say that, I mean fighting, actually fighting, not just resisting. Or we come from a time where sometimes too much information can get people killed. He's sort of the captain of our squad back home, and there have been lots of times where he hasn't shared things, and it's a struggle, but all of us, the team, we all understand that he tells us what we need to know, and we trust him to know when it's best to tell us, and when we don't need to know. We kind of have to. I know that doesn't help you. It's not how you're used to operating. It's just, I'm not even saying that it's right. I'm just saying that just try to understand.
He's of a different time, I guess. customs are a little different.
Yeah. I've been trying to adjust myself, although I will say most of my adjustments have to do with your tech being a little slower than I'm used to expecting, but, you know, that's...
Couple bugs.
Every now and then. There might be a virus that, a computer virus that might have gotten patched about 3 years before it was supposed to, but we won't talk about that.
There we go. Knowledge of the future helping us already. Like, I don't want to have any kind of tension or any issues with Taeyeon. I trust him. I mean, I generally trust that he probably thinks he made the right decision, but we are launching an entire resistance here, and things might go very differently from the ways that it went for you. And if we don't have all of the intel that we can possibly have, I don't know if we can make the best choices. I don't know if we can beat an enemy that is so vast and has so many more resources than us. We have to take whatever resources we have, even if it's not the way Taeyeon usually operates. But I don't know if he'll see that in the moment.
He'll take any resource and take any option, but what if in doing so it makes things worse?
Well, I mean, every choice has the possibility to make things worse, but the most informed choice usually is the best one. I just don't want that space anomaly to happen the way that it does.
Yeah, no, none of us do.
I am afraid of what we might lose.
I understand. And I think Taeyeon does too, and if not, he would if you talk to him. But
yeah.
I've known Taeyeon for a long time, and I know that he gets very focused sometimes on the mission, and that's important, but sometimes he just needs help seeing the other perspectives.
Thanks for that.
She kind of goes to stand up and just says, I just hope that... I'm sorry, I know I don't really know you that well, but...
No, say what's on your mind.
I just hope that you're open to seeing the other perspectives too.
Of course.
Alright. I'm gonna go back and check on Alma again, make sure everything's going alright.
Thanks for coming in here and trying to put me in my place. Need it sometimes.
That's not... I wasn't trying to...
Ada, I'm just messing with you. I'm totally just messing with you.
And she just sort of... Okay. Thanks for hearing me out.
Thanks. Try not to be so hard on Taeyeon, but I think he sees where I'm coming from.
I think so too. And for what it's worth, so do I.
Thanks.
And she...
we should hang out more often, Ada.
She kind of looks at you and says, Yeah. We should.
I mean, next time it'll probably be in a life or death situation, but maybe sometime we can pencil in a non-life and death situation hang out.
Like I said, resistance of the future, life or death situations are basically a Tuesday for us, so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could always just like put us in a little carnival scene for, like 20 minutes. And for 1 second, I just want the room to be replaced with like a little like fair setup. Like there's like a game with like a little water gun that you shoot and like some stuffed what are the like crab aliens?
Oh, Cradians. Yeah.
Like some like plush Cradians, like
excellent.
Just for like 10 seconds.
Yeah. She like seeing that just immediately like you watch as she divides and like splits in two and just starts looking at several things at once, just sort of looking around, and then just sort of as soon as it fades, she sort of like walks back together. It just has a kind of like a look of like both of her forms sort of like merging together once again. It's just, I think that would be really fun.
Good.
And she exits the room.
Hope I'll live that long.
We'll go ahead and cut to Taeyeon. Where is Taeyeon right now?
Ooh, I can't remember. Was I?
Are your ears burning?
It's very funny what Ada said because it's gonna link directly to what I'm gonna be doing. But when I arrived on the Waker Light for the first time, was the bunk beds like private? Was it were it compartments or was it? Had I become before that?
I think so, because I think that happened before the because Taeyeon arrived right after that, right when that
been
downtime.
Doing refits
yeah.
During
okay.
the,
So
during
yeah.
downtime.
Okay, yeah. So I think he'd be in whatever like room he claims the last time he was here, and like has the door shut and maybe even locked if that's a thing you can do.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably got like his like wrist computer up and maybe any projection he can get up and like pads as well and tablets and just staring at like, I guess this is a question for the GM, but he's staring at the date he remembers the attacks on the shipyard having been documented and when it's happening now, like do they match up?
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. Looking at that, it's not the same. It's about a day or two off. This one happened a little bit earlier.
So he just like got everything up everywhere, projection, just walking back and forth, just pacing like, okay, the day off does it have something to do with the anomaly? Did it start early? Does Alma have to do anything with this? How did Alma? I don't think he even asked. He's like, I don't think he even asked, how did Alma disappear? I just knew that she did. I don't think they really explained how. And he just pacing up and down like, if he had to do the corpse, why did they leave her behind? Did they get what they want? And then he's just doing that like he's been going back and forth for maybe like 30-40 minutes at this point. You're talking to himself, trying to figure everything out. As Ada said, hyper focus on the mission now.
Like you kind of go round in circles in your mind trying to think of like all the possible factors that could have affected this. The thing you keep coming back to is just the fact that of all the factors that you sort of indicate that could be affecting this in some way, it could easily be any one of them, all of them, or maybe none of them. Like there's no way to know. As you're looking through this, the problem is that there's so many things, and pieces that you don't know, pieces that you don't have, that you're just, because anything really could have affected that shift. And for all you know, it could be something that is entirely unrelated. Just maybe something that you did that sort of sent some ripples in the space-time continuum that sort of altered other things in minor ways, like dominoes. Or it could have been something that you directly did. There's not a good way to know. And every single time you sort of make your way through the logic pattern, and always, always, always you come back to that there's just no way to know.
I think at that point he's kind of like just plops down onto the ground, like legs crossed, and it's like, okay, so we have all of these possibilities that could be, but I don't know which one or if any of them are right. It's like, guess I just have to start cancelling them out, starting with Alma. I need to talk to everyone. And he just like kind of quickly gets up again and just like hurries out to if he can find everyone.
Sure. As you open the door, you basically like sort of so focused on what you're doing, you basically like run right into Vix as he's walking down the hallway. Just sort of like stop. He's like, sorry, was I?
Oh.
He's like, I don't think I was doing. I don't think I was using my powers. Never mind.
What powers?
Oh, I do a thing where I make it so that nobody's really aware of me walking. It's a. Sometimes I do it. It's kind of habit now.
No, that was honestly my bad. I'll admit that. Sorry about that. Do you know what happened? I know Alma kind of disappeared, but I never actually asked how.
Right. Yes. Ish. I mean, yes, I do know. It's a little bit. I mean, it's a little bit my fault, kind of.
No, yeah, I figured. That's why I think you're the right person to ask.
Well, I'm sorry. Can we? I feel weird having this conversation just in a hallway. Can we?
I mean, guess we can go back to my room.
He looks in. He goes, "Yeah, sure." And he kind of waits for you to sort of like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keon goes in first, specifically to put away all the like tablets and any projection that he left up. It's like, okay, no spoilers.
Yeah. He sort of he follows you in, and then just sort of stands by the door for a moment, just going, okay, so. Well, there was you when you came and helped them rescue everyone from the Silverbreak ship, the other powered people, and we had a plan. Trethaway had a plan to take one of the others like me, one of the other operatives, and stage a sort of switch. The other operative, they go by, I don't know what their real name is, but they go by Aiden. I don't know much about them other than that they can change their appearance. They can look like anyone. I don't know if they can be anything other than another person, but I wouldn't rule it out. Anyway, the goal was to try to stage a capture of some kind, and allow the crew of Awakener to think that they'd rescued their friend, and then replace whoever we managed to get with Aiden. Then Aiden would lay in wait, bide their time, and then wait for an opportune moment and take Alma and Awakener. Trethaway is really interested in Awakener for some reason. Although this is just speculation on my part, I got the impression that she's only interested in Awakener because Ellis is.
Ellis, okay. I remember them mentioning Ellis the last time I came.
Yeah,
there's no one really important or big that I remember named Ellis.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me, because right now he's kind of persona non grata with Silverbreak. He kind of went off the deep end a little bit. And sorry, this is just weird. I haven't really told anybody any of this since.
Yeah, no, it is weird. I'm talking to the person who tried to kill me and the rest of the crew about how to save.
Yeah.
Possibly the galaxy. Yeah, no, it's weird
But
for me as well.
I'm actually the reason that Trethaway and the Silverbreak board know that Ellis wasn't working for them anymore. I was working pretty closely with Ellis for a while and then started to get suspicious. He did a few things, made some calls that seemed like they went directly against what the board wanted. And so I informed the board. It's how they knew that Ellis wasn't really playing for the same team anymore. Yeah.
What kind of calls specifically do you
He
remember any?
had his own teams out searching for the artifacts, and a couple of times he sent people in to neutralize research teams that were working on finding out anything about the artifacts, and instead of sending them back to Silverbreak Labs, he had them sent to an unknown location I was never allowed to know.
I have a feeling that he might have to do with this the anomaly we're trying to figure out. I was hoping Alma would be a more direct link. It's kind of why I kind of jumped in immediately with helping you, although I am very happy that Alma's back.
Yeah.
I don't not like you.
I'll take it.
Just thank you for everything you told me so far, and I'll try to forget what you did, but you don't seem like you have really forgiven yourself either.
Yeah. You say that, and you watch this whole time that he's been talking, he's had just sort of this like kind of awkward sort of smile on his face. It's gone. He says, yeah, sure. Yep. He kind of glances towards the door and says, I'll just go. And by the way, have you told anybody what happened yet? You know that you reversed time and saved everybody from dying horribly in a vacuum?
I don't see why they need to know that you killed them. It doesn't seem like something they want to know.
I didn't have anything to do with that.
You were on the same side that we're fighting that did that too.
And I killed the one who did it because he fucked everything up. Don't give me... Look, me now, I wouldn't have done it. But me then... He became a liability. And I hate that that's a thought that crossed my mind. And I hate even more that I acted on it. Look, you don't have to forgive me for shit. You hate me, punish me, whatever you want, but there's nothing that you can do that I'm not already doing to myself 100 times over.
Are you gonna tell them?
No. But I think you should.
Oh. Yeah, you're definitely her brother.
We inherited the annoying gene from our mom.
You saw what happened. What good would a telling them be? What could they have learned from that hadn't already told them? Entropis could decay matter by touch. Entropis decayed matter by touch. That's about as much info they could get from me telling them that they died. All that's going to be is a reminder that they can die, which, first of all, should be a thing they're aware of anyway. Don't need to know that it also became a reality at any point. It doesn't help morale.
Yeah. Maybe you're right.
I already struggle to sleep at night remembering that. I don't need anyone else to do that as well.
Sure. I understand that. Still, I think they have a right to know.
I'll tell them eventually.
Well, this is already much more emotional honesty than I tend to handle in about, well, even in a year, 2 years, I don't know. So I'm gonna go. And he just sort of, he walks out of the room.
Tim kind of just like, just floats back in bed, just like, and just lays there staring at the ceiling for a bit.
Alright. So, let's go ahead and cut to a little while later, as you all have come back together. You've having
team meeting.
Yeah, having exited from FTL, you take sort of the jump through the conduit, coming out the other side, returning to. Actually, this is a really good question. Where specifically are you guys headed?
Probably a point of the meeting.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So
That's first on the agenda.
We'll say that instead of having jumped through already, you come out of FTL, and now you're having that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll say for the purposes of this that you've all gathered in the observation room,
Mm-hmm.
on the observation deck.
Is Alma there with us? Has she
no.
been okay? She's not okay. She's still like in bed
Yeah.
and recovering. Okay. So.
Finn is fully bouncing, by the way, like leg under the table, just like million taps a minute kind of thing.
Okay.
Not important, but like that's just set the emotional scene.
So
Mason's kind of just leaning back in his chair.
Tails like just sitting there, like seems to be deep in thoughts. Like,
I'm just gonna say I'm standing up like I'm saying like by the board, not that it's a board, like just saying. So this is a quick review of what's been going on, and I'm just gonna like kind of give the head like what's been going on in the worlds while we've been kind of on the ship and doing our own thing, just so everyone's kind of briefed on what's been happening. And then I'm just gonna stop at the point where, and now we have Alma back, so we know where the conduit is. Is the conduit the next point of interest, or are recruiting allies our next point? Conduit?
I don't know.
We also have a big space anomaly that's eating things.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's on the list too.
It's actually so and he kind of like gets his I'm assuming we're using like holograms projection right now, right? So yeah, he kind of gets his wrist computer and just like flicks I guess it's the equivalent of a newspaper article out, or like it's probably like a equivalent of a history textbook, and flicks up the copy
Primary source.
that he remembers, and just shows that the date of where he remembers the shipyard like attack happening and where it's actually happening. It's just like, I don't know if this is related to Alma or anything, or even a space anomaly, but this is out of sync. It's out of date by a whole day. this isn't meant to be happening yet, or it wasn't meant to happen yet,
The battle happened earlier?
then it's meant to, yeah.
How much earlier?
Just a day, but a day can do a lot, especially in literal warfare.
You see Jade sort of look around and sort of, I mean, this is the kind of information and honestly the kind of decision that I feel like the Resistance needs to weigh in on. I mean, if they if this is a big thing that's going to affect everything, it's going to affect them too.
I agree. Yeah. I think first stop should be the base. Touch base.
Debrief.
At the base.
That does make sense. And I feel like this conduit, it might be heavily guarded. We might need a bit more power at the very least, or at least more people who are good with sneaking in if we don't want to go guns blazing.
More info, more of a plan, maybe.
Definitely.
Jade sort of looks around the table and sort of scooches his chair out and stands up. He says, "I'll go set a heading then."
Yeah.
Please.
Okay. He walks out, kind of moving away from the table, sort of like just sort of putting his hand on Sedona's shoulder as he walks past her, and then just exiting, making his way for the lift.
Taeon, anything else odd?
Nothing that I can tell. I do have questions. Just so Ellis, right? He had to do with Alma disappearing.
Well, it was Ellis or Silverbreak.
Yeah, they're not. It was way easier when we thought they were the same thing.
It was Ellis though.
Yeah.
At first.
Well, yeah. But I don't know whose plan it was, if it was Trellis's or Ethaway.
Well, we know.
Wow.
Wow.
I just had a little bit of a straight. Wow. Trethaway or Alice's.
Trellis
Trellis or Jesus. Anyways.
Okay. I'm just as glad as everyone that Alma's back. But we also need to think about, why is Alma back? They took Alma. How did we just find her? If they're done with her,
exactly,
what did they do?
They wanted her in the ship so bad. I don't think they would have just let her go.
Unless they already got what they wanted from her.
But you'd think
from the ship.
They consider us property. I don't think they just... If they wanted... They wouldn't want anyone to get hands on it. If that were the case. They would kill her, destroy Awakener if they were done with it.
So did she escape before they got what she wanted? Before they got what they wanted? That's something we could ask Alma.
I'm just worried because Alma... Time is very difficult for me. So I can't remember if I have told you this, but Alma is the first... Do we even have a name? Powered, I guess? Who just kind of happened by accident.
Mm-hmm.
So she's... If they could get data on her, figure out how it happened, they could end up making more Almas who aren't on our side.
Yep.
Vix leans forward on the table, just sort of putting his chin on his hands, just says, "Or perfect the process somehow." It's a thing that I remember them talking about, that we were useful but unpredictable in our abilities.
It's also a multi-step process.
I mean, the state that we saw Alma in, it's possible that she got away herself before they did anything. She was in that state of panic.
I mean, you're right. We probably should ask Alma about this because it could be a case that she escaped beforehand or escaped after they took what they wanted.
Well, if they did something weird with her head, I should be able to tell.
I've just been thinking about this a lot, and I feel like something doesn't feel right. So I just guess just keep an eye out, I suppose.
Either she got away somehow, or this is some really weird trap.
Tim like nods, like as she says trap.
Does the base face a threat, do you think, at this point?
I think we need to sweep the ship for bugs.
Yeah.
At which point, Adasbrix sort of raises a hand,
I-
and they say, I've made sure to sweep all of the ship's systems for any kind of malware or anything that they could piggyback a signal on. I haven't found anything, although I did find this weird sort of some kind of some kind of ID blocker on the ship.
Is that
Oh,
wait?
is
Is that
that
one that we put in with wire, or is that is that something that we've done, or does that sound weird and unfamiliar to
no,
us?
that's definitely the
What
the same
Wire
thing.
did.
Yeah, that's
Why? Okay,
yeah.
I just wanted to double check.
That's what I thought.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we're all like, okay, yeah, no, that's cool.
that's supposed to be there? Yep.
okay, great. They look down at say, well, other than that, I haven't found anything unusual, and
I think we do it again. And if people are free and willing, I want to go through all of the hardware too, everything that's inert as well, because if it's offline, Ada's not going to be able to pick it up. So
And
I want to go through everything again before we start heading.
from previous
Bugs.
experience, we should probably check the outside of the ship
Yes.
too.
Yeah, we need to do a full sweep before we bring it anywhere near.
Agreed.
And I think we should do kind of a full debriefing with Alma before we bring her back to base too.
Yes.
All right, I'll slap the spacesuit on then.
Taeyeon, is there anything about Ellis or Silverbreak that could help us?
Alice? No, I'll be honest, when I came back here the first time, that was the first time I ever heard the name Ellis. Silverbreak? DM, is there anything you can remember from about Silverbreak in particular?
I mean, you know basically everything that these guys know. You will. One of the things that is notable to you, something that you would know from sort of future, is as long as you have been fighting in the Resistance, as long as you have been aware of the corporations, for the most part in the future are all under the umbrella of Silverbreak.
Okay. And that's not the case right now,
No.
is it?
No.
Okay.
They are independent entities at the moment. Like the mega corporations are sort of independent entities. In the future, they're kind of all under the umbrella of Silverbreak.
Okay. Again, like I said, nothing about Ellis, but Silverbreak is a lot bigger than it is right now. They've merged is not the right word. They've eaten most of the other corporations. So I honestly, if we're gonna hit them, probably best hit them now.
Yeah. You don't say. I think Ellis right now is top of the list for space anomaly.
You know, that makes sense. And
Um,
honestly, maybe even this conduit that the building that quite literally affects space, at least around an object, maybe.
Does Vix react at conduit? Does he know about the conduit? Has he heard about this? Because I don't know if he was there when we talked about it. Like,
yeah, it depends on whether or not you've asked him about it by this point.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have asked him when we first,
Sure.
like, you know, at the very beginning, but...
Yeah, as far as you know, he doesn't know anything specific about it.
Okay.
He knew about its existence.
Okay.
But nothing more specific than that.
Okay.
You know, I agree with Mason. Touching down in base after a thorough sweep is probably the best option right now.
Sedona looks up very suddenly and says, "Oh," and she pulls up her terminal and goes, yeah, Jade, hold off on that for a second. Yeah, no, it's okay." And she says, he's standing by.
Ada Spriggs.
Yes.
Communication lines. How much of a specialty do you have in that?
I mean, I'm not a communications expert, but I can do a little bit. What do you need? What are you thinking?
I was gonna see if we could get a secure line back to wire that isn't one that is already based in the ship. Secondary line, secure, just so we know for sure it hasn't been tampered with. And we can talk to them and see if Wire has any ideas. That's
something I can do. Signal relays are easy to relay signals off of any number of the transmissions signals. So yeah, I that's something that I can do. It won't be.
And we can at least talk to Wire before we get back.
Yeah, it won't be quiet. We're not talking espionage grade stuff, but at the very least it'll be difficult to track. By the time they track anything in either direction, the signal will have degraded too much for them to be able to trace it in any direction. So and anyway, they'd have to be specifically listening in order to pick it up to begin with. So
I mean, and we do have existing tech in the ship. If you have something you could replicate, maybe that might help to look at something.
Yeah, I might be able to look at that and see if I can do something with it. Yeah.
Just something that's not connected to the ship that maybe has, just in case.
Yeah. The intercom on the table, you see it beep, and you hear Jade's voice saying, "Hey, so I was walking back and well, she's awake."
Taylor just kind of looks at Bina.
Bina just kind of like, I don't think she makes eye contact with anybody, and then kind of like looks around at like everybody.
Everyone is looking.
Yeah, she's like the sort of like calm and collected in which it is a facade. Like,
yeah,
like I'm good and cool.
The only person who's not looking at Bina is Ada Spriggs, who is pointedly looking elsewhere.
Good timing.
I mean, if we've got questions, if she's up, maybe she's up for talking.
One way to find out.
Yeah, I've definitely got some questions.
I'm gonna grab some tea for her on the way.
Do we want to not? I'll come with too if you don't think it'll be too overwhelming to have us all in there.
All together again?
Theoretically, she's missed us as much as we've missed her, so probably the company will be welcome. Can always just ask her to.
Sedona looks around and says, "If what we're worried about is sweeping for any kind of tracing, maybe it's a good idea for us to make a secondary stop and make our job a little bit easier, so we don't have to go on a spacewalk out in the middle of nowhere."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
I could land us on like a large enough asteroid or something, right? Like.
Oh yeah, I mean theoretically you could land any number of places. Yeah. There's plenty of places nearby where you can land, just not very many populated places. So like.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send some instructions to Jade for like a course to navigate,
Sure.
or like for just like a general idea. Not probably something specifically, but like in another direction than we were planning on heading.
Mhm.
Find just a large chunk of rock that we can land on.
Yeah.
But just like specifically in a different direction, like just in case.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, he sends an acknowledgement, and yeah. All right. So you all head down to Medbay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think then for now it's just the four of you. Everybody else kind of scatters to their own sort of areas. So as you make your way into Medbay, Bina sort of stepping in, you can see Alma is currently like readjusting some of the cords that are like sort of like keeping her like monitoring her like vitals and stuff like that, and just sort of like adjusting them, so because now she's kind of in a sitting position now on the medical bed. And as you step in, she looks over at you and she smiles and says, "Hi."
How's it going?
She says,
Gotta eat my microphone.
yeah. She says, it's fine. How long was I out?
Several days. I'm just gonna hand her the tea.
She takes it and says, "Thanks."
You've been in and out.
Yeah.
Tim kind of pokes his head out. Nice to see you actually conscious.
Oh, good to see you again. I thought I imagined you before, or dreamed it or something, but
Yeah, no, I'm back. Just kind of walks in.
Mason follows through. It's good to see you.
it's good to see you.
So, we have a lot of planning that we need to do. A lot's happened. Are you up for some Q&As?
She takes another sip of the tea and she says, "Yeah, I want to help."
You get tired, you tell us to go or something, okay?
Okay. And as you kind of all begin settling in to ask some questions of Alma, that's where we're going to take our break.
Oh my gosh, what?
Yeah.
What the hell? Okay.
So yeah, we are gonna take our break about 10 minutes or so. We will be right back. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.
BRB.
And we're back. Hello, everybody. We are back from our break. When we left off, the crew was just gathering in the med bay to discuss what happened with a newly awakened Alma. So, hold on. I don't have my soundscape.
A reawakened.
There we go. Yes. Yes.
The reawaken us. No, it doesn't right. Doesn't quite sound right.
Literally, the first episode of this season was called Reawakening. So like
The
Been there, done
reawakening.
that.
So,
gosh.
to infinite, to horizon. Like
Roll credits.
As Lucas pointed out in writer's room, we've come full circle and we've paid Alma back. We woke her up for waking us up. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, we have.
We've come back around full circle.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so actually, this is the wrong soundscape. This is the one I was playing before, but it is not the one I wanted to play now. Here we go. Very subtly different. It's different, I swear. All right. So, as you gather in Awakener's medical bay, sort of pulling up chairs and things like that around Alma's medical bed. She basically like kind of continues to sip her tea, and then after a few minutes of you all kind of just sort of sitting there, just kind of making sort of just small talk for a little bit, she just sort of, okay, what do you want to know?
Before we start, do you mind if I record audio just so I can? My memory's not great, just so I can go over it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. I kind of taps his screen. You probably see like a little bit emoji of Ada appear because of an app like she made, and starts recording.
Right. So, what do you want to know?
What do you remember?
Honestly, it's all kind of a blur. I remember when we were back on Sulan and Jade and I were preparing the ship to receive the passengers and just getting us ready to get out as quickly as possible. And I was walking past the galley because I had finished doing prep in the engine room and making my way up to the cockpit to find Jade and help. And as I was walking past the galley, I don't know, everything just sort of went black. And I don't really remember much of anything after that until I was in a room, some kind of examination room. And there were people in medical gear, mostly wearing masks. I didn't see their faces, but I think they were talking about me, but they must have injected me with something because it's like I'm seeing it through a fog. And then then I don't remember much else that's very clear, just sort of blurs until I remember being you watch as she's kind of like struggling, and then all of a sudden her eyes just sort of go wide and she says, I was on a ship, a big ship, and so was Awakener, and I heard them say something about, I don't know, I don't remember what they said, I just remember being terrified. And they were going to do something, and I just remember getting more and more scared, and it wasn't going away, and then all of a sudden I could feel Awakener. And I reached out, and she reached back, and it's like I shared... No, that's the wrong word. Like, she took some of my fear, but then something went wrong, and she just amplified it, and it was like a feedback loop, and suddenly I couldn't stop, and everything else is a blur, but I remember very clearly warning lights and sirens, and suddenly Awakener was crashing through the wall of the med center that I was in. Everybody was diving for cover, and I think I called her. Anyway, the next thing I remember, I was on the ship, and there was fire all around all around her, and then just space. And I remember thinking that I was free, but I couldn't stop. And the feedback loop just kept mounting, and I just kept getting more and more terrified. And I knew it wasn't my own, but after a while, I couldn't think anymore. And then I don't remember anything. Just... I remember dreaming. Sometimes I was alone, but sometimes... Once you were there, she says, looking at Bina. And when that happened, I felt something other than terror for the first time. It was like... It's like I knew where I had to go, but I didn't. I don't remember much else besides that. The next thing I remember was... Well, she looks over at you, Bina, and just kind of smiles. I don't know much else besides that. I wish I could remember more about what happened.
As she's been talking, I've been listening, but as she's just kind of telling the story, I want to use mind reading to just make sure that she's thinking exactly what she's saying, like she's not leaving anything out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can, you're actually, it's really weird. It's like watching or listening to her piece together the thoughts in real time. Like you become aware of them, and then she's
like an
speaking.
Echo.
Yeah, it's
There's
very,
like an echo.
It's very strange. Like you become aware of the thoughts, and then she says them out loud. It's a weird sensation, but yeah, it all everything matches up with what she's saying. Yeah.
Doesn't sound like they got much from you before you escaped.
I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you how long they had me out. In that time, they could have done anything. I just remember that there was something that they said that scared me, and God, I wish I could remember what it was.
So, Bina's super paranoid,
Mm-hmm.
and has been for all of this. She's not gonna say anything out loud, but paying attention to how Alma's speaking, does it sound rehearsed in any way? Like, or does it sound like she's just piecing it together?
It sounds more like she's piecing it together. What you can feel from her is frustration, and like underlying that sort of like a self-conscious nervousness.
All right, understandable. Once again, we've been burned before.
Yeah.
This is so freaky.
She just sort of looks around and says, I really don't remember too much else. Is Jade okay? They didn't get him, did they?
Jade was never with you.
What do you...
We found out that we had a sort of duplicate. When we lost... Oh, I have the wrong name in my head. I know that's not his name. Becker. God, I was like Booker. I'm like, that's not it. Becker. When we lost Becker, we also lost Jade and took home a duplicate. But we did get Jade and Becker back a little too late. You were already gone.
That's lot to take in. Well, I'm glad they didn't get Jade.
Us too.
I don't know. I don't know what else I can say.
I think that's. We don't want to push you too much. You did kind of just wake up.
Have any questions? You missed a bit.
Yeah, maybe talking will jog some memories or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I just realized I don't actually know how long it's been. How long was I gone?
Six months, give or take.
6 months. Okay. Yeah, 6 months. I guess I have a lot to catch up on.
There will be time for that.
Yeah. She kind of like glances down at the empty cup and looks at you, Peach, and says, "Is there more somewhere?"
I can refill you. And I'll go ahead and grab
Yeah.
it, and I'll just go out and refill really quick. And
Yeah.
bring her back a steaming cup of tea.
Okay. Yeah. She takes it, just sort of.
Did anybody have any other questions?
Not at this time.
He just kind of like looks at Alma like, do you have any questions?
I know that was directed at Alma as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
yeah.
just sort of
Yeah.
shrugs and says, a lot of them, really, but I don't really know what's happening right now, so I don't know if we have time for that.
I mean, we're heading back to base, right?
Pause for now until we can sweep the ship. So
Soon.
maybe we do ship sweep questions back to base.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Fill in.
I can help. What are you sweeping for?
That wasn't there before.
Yeah, I can help.
You sure? You good?
She just
How do
sort
you
of
feel, Alma?
says, like, I need to be useful. You just see as she says, she just sort of frowns for a moment, closes her eyes, and then when she opens them, you can see that they're that kind of like green, like having like sort of like text, like code and just sort of like circuit pattern, just sort of like
Cool.
over them. And she just sort of goes through, just sort of stares out at nothing. And then she just sort of blinks and she says, "There's nothing. Awakener's clean, I think, of any kind of anything that shouldn't be there." She's not really all that happy about the identity blocker, but she understands. She sort of looks around at all of you and says, sorry, just something I noticed. I've been a lot more connected to Awakener since, well, turns out not having a barrier between your psyche and the ship for 6 months, I guess, really kind of changes your relationship with your abilities, having them constantly running for that long. I didn't hear you.
Does she know anything? The ship.
Alma
Does she know anything?
frowns and says, "Oh, actually, I didn't even think about that. Let me see."
If you don't remember, maybe Awakener does.
She closes her eyes, and once again, that sort of sheen passes over them. And all of a sudden, you see all around Alma, there's just screens, like, projected around. Worth noting, the screens that are projected in Medbay are not the screens that exist in other parts of the ship, where they have you can access systems and things like that. These are exclusively these screens in Medbay are exclusively for usage in Medbay, but for whatever reason right now they're displaying information that they should not be able to access. And you're seeing what looks like cam footage from the exterior cams from Awakener.
That's my girl. Oh.
You watch sort of a time lapse basically of every moment from Sulon onward. It is not particularly things that are very clear. It's clear that specific location data and things like that have been scrubbed from the logs, but apparently the footage had been saved. So there's not much you can go on as far as where Awakener went, but you can in terms of specifics, but you can see some of it from Awakener's perspective.
Can we tell how long, time wise, how long was Awakener there? When did Alma get out?
So just from what you're looking at, it looks like Awakener after leaving Sulon went through the conduit, met up just on the other side of the on the other side, when it came out, another conduit. You're not actually sure which conduit, but met up with another silver break vessel that was apparently lying in wait, boarded with birthed on the on that vessel, and then was there for probably about 6 days or so. You're not sure exactly how much of that was transit time or anything like that, because you're sort of still stuck looking at the hangar bay. You're seeing people just sort of coming and going, sort of in very quick time lapse kind of thing. At one point, you do see an unconscious Alma carted off of Awakener on a gurney, and the next thing that you see is where the time lapse sort of freezes. It seems like Awakener is at this point cherry picking moments for you to see, sort of time lapse, and then stops and shows you in real time. You see Awakener sort of suddenly sort of lifting off in the hangar bay, watching a bunch of confused techs around, just sort of looking around.
Do you know how much further this is? How much later?
This is probably on day 7 of being on the transport. The ship, you watch as Awakener just very suddenly accelerates forward through the bulkhead in the hangar bay, crashing in through several, you can actually even see the cannons going at one point, where the cannons just sort of blasting their way through the interior of this ship, and then until it very suddenly comes to a halt. At this point, the camera is obstructed, for the most part, just sort of stuck somewhere in the middle of a bulkhead. But then all of a sudden you see the whole camera just sort of obscured by flames, as the cannons blast their way through the remainder of the hull and just go rocketing out into space. You see star lines as FTL burns around, And then the time lapse, like Awakener sort of comes to rest in orbit around a blue sun, and stays there for probably, as you're watching the time lapse, just staying there for probably about 2 months, just in orbit around this one sun. And then
starts to cry just like a little bit, but like quietly, just like tears up, just like a little bit.
And then, just as suddenly, there's sort of like you can see sort of like a glitch in the video, and you just hear somehow, there hasn't been much audio of any kind here because most of it is exterior, and there's not much in terms of exterior audio unless you specifically turn that on. You hear sort of mechanically a voice. It's Alma's voice, somewhat mechanically filtered, that just says, light. The light. I need the light. And then you don't hear it again, and then you just watch as Awakener moves away, for the first time in months, away from the sun. And then you just watch a time lapse of a series of seemingly random FTL jumps. Although at one point you do think that maybe you recognize the system that Zolaterra is in. And you see some of this stuff. You actually even see, at one point, very obviously see Sulan. And then, again, like, this proceeds just sort of random jumps, seemingly random jumps to various places. You do see Station 23. And this happens over the course of like several months, just sort of random jumping. And then you see the skirmish with the ghost, or with the scrapper ship. You see that Awakener sort of comes out of FTL, sort of comes sort of in orbit around the planet where you found Cade and her crew. And you see another ship sort of after about maybe 2 or 3 days of just sort of orbiting this planet, another ship just sort of jumps, and you recognize it as the intact version of the crashed ship, as it slowly makes its way toward Awakener. You can see like a docking corridor beginning to extend from the other ship, and you watch as another visual glitch happens in the screen. The whole screen just sort of saturates, like all like the camera color saturates. Everything looks just sort of like red, and then you watch the ship's cannons just start blasting away at the other vessel, before jumping away, seeing sort of in the rear feed the other ship sort of smoke trail all the way down to the planet. From there, you see in the middle of an FTL jump, Awakener just gets violently yanked out of FTL and is very suddenly where you can see in the middle of the Terminus Maelstrom. There are a series of maneuvers that, Bina, you're not even sure you could pull off, that Awakener sort of goes through here. And then very suddenly everything is quiet. But, and as you see Awakener, like the camera getting statikier and statikier as you're going, you see Awakener pull out into just sort of the relative calm of the eye, and then just the camera just completely fuzzes over and then goes dark. Alma blinks and it's just, yeah, I guess she remembers.
Vita just puts her head down on the terminal that she's in front of, just like fully
folds down and just puts her head down and has to take a second to process that.
Alma, that was pretty badass.
Looks and says, yeah, and to think before all of this, I had to struggle to turn on the lights without touching them.
That's sort of good news, right? Just 7 days. You're only on that silver brick ship for 7 days. That can't be enough to have done anything major, right?
I mean, it's enough to maybe take samples of DNA.
I'll maybe talk to Vix. Maybe he might know what kind of procedures they could have done in the first 7 days. He maybe might have an idea at least.
She frowns. I'm sorry.
Oh, you two haven't met. So we found my brother.
That's amazing.
He kind of found us. So he just kind of trying to think about how to like.
Taylor's savoring this. He was like, "Okay, yeah, honestly, that's how you're gonna explain this."
So, you know, what feels like years ago now at this point, I had Mason investigating where he was, and he was nowhere to be found. And that's because Silverbreak took him. And made him into the mimic who had been hunting us down and trying to kill us.
Bina, you can feel a surge of surprise and then immediately fear and then confusion from Alma.
But if you saw him now, you would never think that he was a super weapon previously. He's...
Wow. She looks around at all of you, like looking for confirmation, and then turns back to Peach and just says, I guess I have missed a lot.
Yeah, You'll meet him. I guess it's good that he probably wasn't here.
Bina, head down. After a moment, you just sort of feel like very gently and tentatively, like a hand on just sort of on your shoulder.
She goes,
Yeah.
Head down.
Alma just sort of like gentle squeeze on your shoulder, and then turns back and says, Do I need to be in? She like gestures to like the cables and stuff that are like the cords that are like attaching her to like the vitals and stuff like that.
Let me just do one more quick check, and I'm just gonna monitor like see kind of her status if she'd be okay to go off it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, and a quick check, all of her vitals seem normal. Yeah, maybe a little. She seems like she's probably a little bit dehydrated, but otherwise she seems fine.
Okay. Take it slow, and you should be okay.
Okay. She just sort of starts removing things, and sort of swings her legs over the side. Says, "Okay."
Oh, there is something else. So I'm here. So is my partner Adis Bricks. But sadly, it isn't just a visit.
I kind of figured, but
yeah. There's we're calling it a space anomaly. It's been going through time, I guess is the best way to describe it, and eating things. Yeah, we kind of figured out after a lot of research and just looking backwards, we figured it kind of started and originated now So I kind of, after a few years of charging up, kind of jumped back to see if we can stop it. I figured it had to do with everything you're dealing with, because many things seem to.
Right. I guess there's never any really real end of problems.
No.
Bina, it's just literally Holstein has her head down, but she like shakes her head no from like the from like the down position and goes,
Yeah.
I think even Taylor like pats Venus back at that point.
Okay. What are we doing about that? I mean, is that what we're doing right now, or?
I don't know. I'm hoping all of this is connected, because the anomalies seem to have also be linked to the sudden resurgence of the corpse in my time. So I'm hoping everything that's going on right now is connected. We solve your problem, we hopefully solve Time's problem.
Yeah. However I can help.
I mean, right now all you need to do is drink water, tea,
Okay.
and just get better.
I think I can manage that. And she just she starts kind of pushing herself the rest of the way off the bed and stands, and then just sort of like grabs onto the bed and just goes, whew, bit lightheaded.
Oh, as soon as she has any kind of like, ooh, like woozy, because I don't know if there's any emotional feeling to that, but two arms go up to like stable her on one side.
She goes, okay, I think I'm good. I guess this is what happens when you don't actually walk anywhere for 6 months. Okay.
Oh, one more thing you did miss, Alma. We missed you so much when you were gone.
It's good to be back.
Well, I'm gonna go and check on some other things then, if we don't have any more questions. Alma drink a liter of water every 2 hours. Just kind of like glancing at everybody, and then like kind of she like glancing at Bina and Alma, like at everybody else, and then like walking out of the room.
Yeah, no, I think Taeyeon after a bit is like, oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Mason kind of turns around and looking at Taeyeon. Taeyeon, would you send me a copy of the recording? I'd like to listen over at some point.
Yeah, I can do that.
Alma looks over at you, Mason, says, I'll have Awakener send you a copy of all of the ship footage as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
Still sort of like kind of arm out sort of to like where Bina was supporting. She's kind of like holding onto your forearm, sort of like steadying herself, and then slowly lets go, and it's like, okay, I think it's past.
Are there like provisions or anything in here that I could get her some like
definitely.
protein?
Like there, you absolutely could in the galley probably. So like, yeah, you'd have to go kind of like downstairs, or not stairs because there are none, but down below decks, lower decks, whatever, one of those places.
Are you hungry?
She goes,
do you need
actually,
anything?
now that you mention it, yes.
Protein, I think, would be good.
You both kind of make your way down to the galley, which is empty except for Vix, who's just kind of like sitting there, with sort of he has a terminal open and seems to just sort of be reading something. He looks up and goes, "Oh, hi. I was just catching up on some reading. I'm Vix. I'm Peach's brother. She nods and says, "It's good to meet you, Alma." He says, "Yeah, I know. It's good to meet you too. I'm uncomfortable. I'm gonna go and read somewhere else. It's good to. Yep. See ya." And he.
We're a super weapon.
Just since Vix is an empath currently, from being he just feels full emotional exhaustion, like just entirely drained.
Yeah, he like glances at Alma, looks at you, and then just very, very slightly, like it's quiet, but you can feel sort of like a wave of reassurance going in your direction. Like he's trying really hard. He's not that good at it, but like
she kind of like will nod at him and kind of will take Alma into the kitchen to see. All of our food is like rehydratable, so theoretically it's fine.
Oh still. Yeah, no, it looking through it, it doesn't look like anybody's removed anything. It looks like they didn't quite get that far because they only had about a week, so and their
were probably
priorities
focusing on Alma.
So it looks like for the most part everything seems to be there that you brought on before.
Bina's gonna start going through like cabinets and drawers and kind of like in the way of busy work, but she has intention. And like, so it's like conflicting of like, I need to keep my hands busy right now. There's a lot going on, but also I do have a little mission here, and that's to make sure Alma has protein. Like, so she's kind of like, I think she gets really focused for like a few minutes. So I don't think unless Alma says anything for like the first few minutes, Bina's just like totally like, okay, I got this, and she's gonna start pulling stuff out and. I don't think she realizes that she hasn't cooked in like 6 months, but that is something that is happening.
Yeah. Alma's just sort of sitting there quietly, just sort of taking intermittent sips of water.
She's also gonna put on another kettle in case she wants more tea.
So yeah, as you said about doing that, you can feel gradually as you are working. Just sort of gradually you can feel sort of like Alma's attention sort of refocus sort of from it kind of being introspective. You can feel it sort of shifting to you in the form of like it's unclear entirely because it's one of those rare occasions when you aren't quite sure what you're feeling definitely because it is a perfect, like, equal blend of confusion curiosity and concern. Sort of an equal blend of those two, and right now neither one is winning out over the other. You're just sort of feeling that. We are going to cut.
Okay.
So, what are the rest of you doing right now?
Well, Mason wants to run to his bunk. He hasn't been there yet.
Okay. Yeah, it's mostly intact. You can see where it looks like pretty clearly like somebody went through it, but it doesn't look like it was searched but not like ransacked or anything like that. But you can very clearly tell that was the case.
I lay on the bed and I feel for the spot in the mattress that's just a little harder, and I reach in the hidey pocket and I pull out half a bottle of whiskey, and I like kiss it. Oh, thank you, past Mason. And kind of pours himself, looks for a glass and finds one and pours it. He's tasting something he hasn't tasted for a while. This is before he was relying on whatever they can make at the base. So this is he's missed this. He's just gonna take a sip and just kind of look around. Corks it and takes it with him and leaves the room.
All right.
See where everyone else is.
So where is everyone else?
I don't know. I want to talk to. What's Taeyeon doing? Because I want to talk to Taeyeon, but I also want to talk to Vix. So it depends on where Taeyeon is. It's like who I come across first.
I think at this point, I think Taylor is wherever Ada is right now.
Yeah, so that Ada is currently at the sensor station on the bridge. They're currently running through, like, you can see programs like that they have open on like multiple screens that seem to be running like top to bottom scans of Awakener's comm systems. And then one of the monitors is dedicated pretty clearly to routing a signal, bouncing it off various relays. And yeah, you're watching it as it's sort of like creating like a spider web of like relay echoes that she's like bouncing them off. And she's just sort of like chattering away, explaining. She's like, I found a way that I could take the communication signal and refract it off of multiple relays at once, creating a signal echo that would make it almost impossible to trace anywhere. It's actually really interesting. You wouldn't be able to do this with our tech, because our tech, this kind of stuff. See, these components right here we don't use those anymore in our time. So, but they're still using them back here. So it's really easy to use this kind of exploit.
Seeing that he's very busy with this, I'm gonna go and not wanting to interrupt this lovely rant of Ada's, I'm gonna go and see what Vix is up to, because I want to ask him some questions.
All right. Yeah, you sort of find him on the lower deck, basically the same deck as the hold, sort of like poking around, like just sort of like looking in random doors and just sort of just kind of muttering to himself.
Casing the joint?
Says, yeah, just trying to see whatever's not bolted down, so like it just. No, I'm just looking for a place to read where I'm not going to. Where I will be unobtrusive. It's actually a lot harder to stay out of people's way on a smaller space. Did you know that?
I did know that, actually. Yeah. Have you met Alma yet?
Yes. Yeah. No, we met. It was uncomfortable.
I expected that it would be.
Yeah. Like, what do you say to somebody who you helped directly plan their kidnapping and he like trails off and then looks at you and says, right, I guess I didn't really tell you about that, did I?
I mean, I just kind of inferred.
Yeah.
I actually did not just come here to make fun of you. I actually came.
You had an ulterior motive?
What can I say? I wanted to know, what could Silverbreak have done to Alma in 7 days? Like, what could they have done? Any serious procedures, or what could they have done?
Well, I mean, when I was with them, I wasn't exactly working with their science team, so I'm not sure what their specific procedures are. But as far as my own general knowledge of, I mean, they could have, from what I know of what they're interested in, they could have very easily taken multiple DNA samples and begun scans on them, trying to. I mean, I don't know. I don't even like speculating, but what it boils down to is essentially they could very easily have everything they needed from her. Whether or not they've gotten anywhere with that is a different story, but.
And sorry for this question in advance. You weren't working on with their science teams at all before, right?
No.
Okay.
I mean, all the stuff that I told you about my work back then was true. I mean, it was.
Okay.
The only stuff I was working on was, well, medication to rehabilitate people like me. Yeah. But yeah, no, I didn't have any contact with this part of their research before, and the only contact I had with them afterwards was just just standard tests that they would run to make sure I was functioning properly. I don't know.
Oh, that's a whole nother, like, oh, okay. So you think they could have gotten everything they needed from her?
It's possible. It depends on how depends on how complacent they were. I mean, if they thought they'd gotten away clean, then they might have waited. I don't know. It's hard to say, though. 7 days is a long time. My guess is that they would have immediately tried to take samples.
So they could already have what they need to do whatever they're planning.
It's possible, and I would say even likely. I mean, he kind of points in the vague direction of the galley. He says, the fact that she's here is definitely not ideal for them, but they definitely would have probably rather had her somewhere where they could observe her and sort of monitor live, but...
And you worked closely with Ellis, right?
For a while, yeah.
When did he start to act different?
That's hard to say. I mean, I didn't really know the guy before, so I always remember running across people who'd known him for a while, making comments about how he was different than he used to be, whatever that means. You'd be surprised what people will talk about when they think you're just the help. Silent guard, security, or whatever. But when I first started noticing weird stuff, sometime around... It would have been just after the Silver Fall came back from glassing that colony on Eos. I don't know. He came back and he seemed pretty shaken. Not shaken, like... I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, just... It's like something snapped in him. Like... It was a kind of determination, that... Honestly, it was kind of scary to me, even in my state at the time. I didn't really think about it, of course, at the time, because I didn't really start to really think about it until much, much later, kind of parse it, but... Yeah. And then he started doing all kinds of weird stuff, like, he started running his own ops, that he insisted the board knew about, but then I always got the impression, I always learned later that they had no idea. And I started suspecting that he was going rogue, and at one point Trethaway contacted me directly and asked me if I'd noticed anything, and that's when it all clicked together for me, and it confirmed my own suspicions, so I told her everything I'd seen. That's when I stopped working for taking my orders from Ellis and started taking them from Trethaway directly.
I think Damian Ellis is someone who could give us a lot of information if we knew where he was, if we knew anything about him. Like, he seems to be just a really key figure in all of this.
Well, he didn't always brief me on everything, but I have a few places I know he's been, but most of them are just places where he either suspected he was going to find artifacts, or where he did find artifacts. And
he had a fascination for them.
yeah, you could call it that. I would say it was an obsession.
Peach is kind of remembering like how it felt when she was like looking at the artifact and how like consuming that felt for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he could cause a lot of trouble if he has figured out how to tap into those artifacts, or if they've tapped into him.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know what that means.
Well, if you think about it, if the artifacts are causing powers, they're causing things that shouldn't normally happen to happen. If we're getting all these power from it, I mean, it has to come from somewhere. What if it takes something back? Or I've studied the artifact probably more than anyone in this ship. It's intense. I mean, you know, my willpower, it's like I was like trying to open a door and I could never open it the way that I wanted. Like I had no control in there.
You can see his body language has changed.
Mm-hmm.
He is looking at you with a sincerity that is rare on his
Mm-hmm.
face. He says, "How often did you spend with those? With the artifact?"
I mean, I would just routinely go and study it.
You know that that's incredibly dangerous, right? I mean, I know you know that.
Is a calculated risk.
Yeah, calculated risk. Sure. And I bet you feel like you don't need to go there and look at that thing. That at any time you could just walk away. Is that true?
I mean, I haven't visited it in a while. I mean,
Yeah, but you're thinking about it, aren't you?
like I know I was kind of going off on a little bit of a tangent there, but I am in full control.
I've said those exact words to you. And you knew they were a lie back then. Look, I'm sorry. I'm not accusing you of anything. I've seen that look. I've seen it in the mirror. Peach, addiction is addiction, and I've been down that road. You know that so well.
I'm not going back to... I won't be going back to visit it anymore.
Good. Good.
I think Damien Ellis might have paid the artifacts too many visits.
Too many of them, too. Who knows what could happen with so many of them? With more than one of them?
I mean, I touched a fraction of what one was capable of, and it's pretty damn powerful, so...
Yeah. Well, I will try to remember whatever I can.
Thanks.
You know, you can always talk to me about this stuff. Yeah, I know. Shut up.
I can come talk to you?
Okay.
Really?
I'm gonna go read.
Okay. If I need to come talk to you, I'll find you.
Fuck you. And he just like walks away.
I'm gonna kind of look over and kind of make eye contact with, if she's there, like the kind of other version of Peach, just like almost like she's wanted to share that moment with somebody, but there was no one there, so she's just sharing it with herself.
Yeah. There's the presence that still has never fully left is there, and then as you turn and you look, you can feel her reaching back. And as you kind of turn to look, she just sort of materializes in front of you. She just leans back against the wall and she says, "Well, thoughts?"
Do you know anything about Damian Ellis?
Let's just say, where I'm from, he didn't live long enough to tell me anything. I'll be honest, I wasn't interested in hearing anything he had to say.
So, he was a main player in everything that went south.
Yeah. He wasn't as main of a player as I thought he was when I went after him, but I didn't realize that until afterwards, and the trail sort of died with him, so. But it didn't matter, because, well, I found other ways of dealing with the corpse.
What other ways?
Just a matter of talking to the right people and convincing them to see things my way.
Well, I like the sound of that one.
There's a lot of things that I want to show you and to teach you, but I don't want to overstep here. I know I got to where I got to because, well, mostly because I had to do it on my own. But if you want, the whole reason I'm here is to help you.
I want to see what you could teach me, us. It's kind of weird. It's like plurals, but
yeah, I thought about that. The first time I traveled to another universe, the version of us from that universe was a little bit better at parsing these kinds of things, and the way that she explained it kind of helped me figure it out, which is that there's enough differences between universes that we are essentially individuals. We're essentially our own people. we may have had a common point at up to a certain point, but then we diverged and we became who we are as individuals. Not sure if that helps you, but
Well, it's terrible to know that there are lots of alternate universes, but that's just the main thing. Did you visit many of them before you stopped in this one? What made you stop in this one?
honestly, this one is... Before I had a real understanding of how all of this stuff works, I was hoping that maybe it's better if I start at the beginning. After what happened, after we got spaced and Taeyeon left us, I found myself somewhere else, like I said. I knew what Entropis had done. I'd seen him escaping as we breathed our last breaths. So I hunted him down. And I watched him choke on his own blood. And it wasn't enough. So I went to the next person that I knew was responsible or involved. Only I didn't know it was Vix. I never found out. Not until he was dying in my arms. And then I realized that really neither of them were responsible for anything that had happened, and it all started with Ellis. So I found him. Only when I got to him, I realized that I said before that Ellis died, but it's a figure of speech, really. There's not much left of the man who was once Damien Ellis. It's surprisingly difficult to keep your sanity when you're trapped inside your own mind, inside your own nightmares. After that, it was the board. The Silverbreak Board of Directors. One by one, I got rid of each of them. The thing about the corporations is that they're like weeds. You can cut off the heads, you can cut off all of that, but the roots, as long as the roots are still there, they'll just come back. And that's about the point when I realized that there's only so much that I could do by myself. So I started trying to find a way to undo everything, to get back to that moment when everything changed. Never quite managed it, but I did find a way of jumping to other timelines or universes or whatever you want to call them. But none of them were similar enough they all had differences. Some of them we never went to the Silverbreak ship to liberate the powered individuals. On some of them, we never even became what we are. And some of them, the corpse didn't exist at all. But then I heard you reaching out through the artifact. I heard you that day on Sulan. I felt you. And I knew you right away. Because of all of the versions of us across the multiverse, you were the one who was the most like me.
I want to learn from you. I don't want to be like you.
I don't want you to be like me either. I failed. I want you to be better.
You can't just kill the figurehead. The figurehead doesn't change what's wrong at the roots. Well, if you have any of those time, universe traveling abilities or cool tidbits to share, I am up for that. But you could, and Peach is just kind of like trying to process all of that at once, and it's like not doing a great job at it. So she's trying to just kind of get her to talk more, but
yeah, she says, in time I can show you that. Right now, without developing your abilities first, the strain of breaching universes would probably tear you apart, like it almost did me my first time.
Well, maybe not that to start, but
probably not the starting place.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I've also learned a lot about other things, about the way the galaxy works. And I'm not here to tell you how to be. I'm not here to mold you into me. I'm just here to provide you with tools. With my lessons that I learned. And the ones that I didn't learn in time. You're your own person. And that's good. You need to be. You need to be better than me. And I can help you do that.
Okay. Before you go again, or I guess when you come back, do you want to say anything to them? To anybody? I know they're not your crew, but still.
I don't have anything to say to them, but you should make sure that they know that you love them. Always.
Good piece of advice. Guess you're not so scary after all. And I think at that, like, just gonna kind of nod and
yeah. As you do, you
kind of
find
the
that
understanding that the conversation is kind of over.
As you nod, you find that you're nodding to an empty room.
Yeah. I'm just gonna like take a seat on like some stuff in here.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna make my own chair.
Yeah.
Just sit on it.
Yeah. We'll cut away back to the galley as Bina, you're finishing up making the meal for Alma.
Weird, makes no sense, but it'll probably taste fine.
Yeah.
As always.
You put it in front of her, and she just looks down at it, and then looks up at you, and she says, "That is colorful."
Yeah. You can never tell. And she like pulls out like the dehydrated bag. She's like, you don't really know what color they're gonna turn out. See this one, the purple thing was like this color. It's kind of usually an accident, but happy accident.
Well, I'll take it. And she just starts eating. She takes one bite, stops, kind of looks up at you, and then she just starts like shoveling it in, basically. Yeah.
I think Bina relaxes like marginally.
Mm-hmm.
Like she like a little bit of tension and comes out of her shoulders.
Alma just is fully consumed with eating this. Definitely, like, very clearly somebody who, like, it's less like she's not eating like a person who's hungry. She's eating like someone who like needs this food. It is like she just cannot stop. She just keeps going, and then but like only a few minutes and the plate is fully empty, and she just sort of sorry, I was hungrier than I thought. Didn't realize it until I started eating.
I think, oh boy, I think as Bina laughs at that, I think it's one of those like there's been too much emotion here, and like the like laugh cracks into a sob kind of a thing, like, and then she's like the like crying just like a little bit, and she's like, fine, good.
Alma looks at you and says, she just like scoots her chair over and just like hugs you, just pulls you into a hug.
Like, full, just like just a little bit of a shoulder cry.
Yeah. Yeah, you stay like that for a while.
And I think she just fully like into her shoulder is just like, I'm so happy you're back.
She, as you say that, she kind of like slowly sort of like pulls away so that she can look at you, and she just says, I'm sorry.
You have, if anything, I should be apologizing.
No.
You were 5 months. You were out there for 5 months, and we could have found you, and we were hiding. I could have found you 5 months ago.
You couldn't have known. I mean, you saw the footage. I didn't even know where I was going. Awakener maybe knew.
You'll see it. It's pretty cool, actually. But we were tucked away in like this corner, and I tried to go a couple of times. Should have, apparently. But you don't get to apologize.
I'm not apologizing for being gone. I'm apologizing for what everything that happened did to you.
working on it.
Well, I'll help however I can.
Just being back. Just being safe. That's good enough for now. Bean's gonna give her another hug.
Yeah, and she pulls into it. Yeah. Gonna jump over to Taeyeon. Sort of having after Ada just sort of like fully just exposited everything that she's been doing, just sort of like sending it all out there. After a while, she just kind of like, all right, let me just make some adjustments, and just goes completely silent for a few minutes after that.
Yeah, no,
just sort of like fully like intently focusing.
It's definitely a thing that they do like often. Like one of them will geek out about something that the other one does not get, but they'll just happily listen.
Yeah.
But I think he's kind of, I think she's probably like sitting down at a like terminals, and he's got like just got his head rested on top of her head, watching the screen. And he kind of lets the silence hang for a bit, and then just asks, "Am I a good captain?"
She doesn't say anything for a moment, as you see that she's like sort of still typing, but you can tell, just because you know her that well, like you can tell that she's no longer fully focused on the screen. You can tell that she's just sort of considering your question. And she just sort of kind of pushes back and swivels the seat around to look at you, and kind of looks up at you and just says, "Why would you ask that?" I mean, I'll answer your question, but I want to know why you're asking.
I've just been very out of my depth now here. I don't know if the calls I'm making are the right ones. I don't know, I guess we were kind of grew up in a war, and I'm not questioning that I'm not a good captain then, but do those calls make sense now?
It's a good question. I don't really know the answer. I know as little and maybe even less than you do about what it is to be here now. And I know that we're just trying to get our bearings. But I know what you've done. I know that you've saved my life. I'm not even sure I know how to count them. And everybody else, the others? Of course. And of course you haven't made the right call all the time. Nobody can or has, ever, in the history of the universe. You know what I think is important? You don't always know what the result of your decisions are going to be. Nobody can. What matters is that you're always trying to do what you think is best, what you think is right. And I know. And she just sort of, kind of grabs onto like the front of your suit and kind of like tugs you down to like be kind of more at eye level where she's sitting. And she just looks directly into your eyes and she says, I know that you always do. Even if it doesn't end up being the right call, it's always what you think is right. You're never out to hurt anybody. You're never out to screw anybody over. You're just trying to do the right thing, and that's all anybody can ask of anyone, captain or not.
I think, especially up this close, she can definitely tell that he's crying. And just kind of silently pulls her into a hug and just squeezes. I have a lot of things to tell you.
She kind of pulls back and looks at you and just says, whenever you're ready.
I think I'm ready.
Okay. She turns around for a second and just sort of reaches over, hits a few keys, and then turns back around. And then you watch as she just splits, and like stands up, and moves over to one of the other seats in the, kind of pulls you over to like sit separately elsewhere, while like her duplicate goes back to like focusing intently on the thing, and she just sort of sits with you.
And I think like it's probably like probably have like normal seats, but he's definitely like somehow sitting cross-legged on the seat. You've saved my life many times, and I've tried to do the same, but there was a moment where I couldn't. I saw we raided the HQ of the corpse of Silver Break, and I'd never lost anyone in my team before. We've never lost anyone, but we lost everyone. I saw you die, but I changed it. I stopped it from happening. I still remember it. And then I like everyone here. They're weird, but I like them.
Me too.
So I want to keep them safe. But I saw them die as well. And I changed it. I fixed it, but I still remember. And I keep remembering. Every time I close my eyes, every time I sleep, I just keep seeing those scenes over and over again. And I don't know what to do about it. I didn't bring it up before because it was my burden. I made the wrong calls and lost people because of it. I should be the one to bear that, but I don't think I can.
She nods. She says, that is a lot for anyone to carry. I don't know what that's like. I could never know what that's like. But there are some things I know that you have to keep to yourself, because if people know, then people die. I know that. But not everything is that way. And this goes far beyond anything that any captain or leader of any kind has ever had to deal with. You shouldn't have to carry that alone, and you don't.
Should I tell the others? Is that...
She looks at you, and you can see as she just sort of kind of looks under, as your head is kind of tilting down, she kind of looks under to like meet your eyes, and she says, I don't know. What do you think is right?
I think I'll tell them. I don't think I could keep it to myself anymore.
Okay. I will be with you when you do it. And whatever happens afterwards, it's out of your control. You are doing what you think is right. And that's the only thing that matters.
Thank you.
She just sort of stays there for a moment, just sort of like reaches up kind of behind your head and just sort of like gently sort of like stroking the back of your head.
I think Town kind of lies. Are we on like a couch, or it's a normal?
It's kind of just chairs in here, but like you both can definitely like sink down to like the floor and like sort of lean up against one of the walls in there, and
yeah, kind of thing. Just kind of just lies on her lap and just enjoys her company.
All right. We're gonna cut just a little bit ahead, and probably about maybe 6 hours later, all scans of Awakener come back completely clean of any sort of foreign objects, no foreign signals, nothing. It is, completely clean. Everything top to bottom. Physically, yes.
Everything that's off?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And even just for good measure, at one point, Alma definitely just sort of sends a power surge through Awakener's hull shields, just to like burn off anything that might be on the surface.
Mm-hmm. That's a fun trick. We should use that one.
Yeah. Something that is probably extremely dangerous and not a good idea, unless you happen to have somebody who has total like mind meld with the ship that you're on, so probably not the thing you want to attempt normally, but yeah. And so as Bina, as you're sort of sitting in the cockpit, sort of watching the final diagnostics roll in, Jade looks up from the co-pilot seat and says, okay, I've double checked all of my scans. Looks like it all checks out here. Ada speaks up from the sensor station. She says, yeah, all of my algorithms, everything's come back negative. Looks like we're clean.
All right.
And Alma looks over from the other seat, and just says, we're good.
Let's go home.
All right.
As we're getting ready to, putting in coordinates, the pre-flight stuff, like just before we head off into space,
Mm-hmm.
I think Bina just kind of quietly, kind of all four hands, like on the console, just like takes a second. One, to be back in Awakener, and two, she kind of like tips her head down for a second and just says, thank you. And
as you say that, you see, like, you can feel like just sort of a pulse run through the ship as suddenly like systems are like coming online and the engine starts sort of like kicking up, and as you settle in, you turn the heading back towards the conduit, and Awakener takes off from wherever you'd set her down, and makes for home. And that's where we're going to stop for tonight.
How was this episode simultaneously a huge hug and also like several gut punches?
You'd get the hurt and then the comfort and then some more hurt.
The catharsis was immaculate.
Yeah.
Needed that.
Listen, you gotta have the contrast in there, right? Because if it's all of one thing, then that one thing loses meaning, you know? It's gotta set
So
it
good.
against.
Oh, it's so good to be back, y'all. I miss you so much.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's so good to be back here. Yeah. Well, welcome back to Infinite Horizon, everybody.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Very fitting return.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Whew.
Sorry, I'm just looking at people yelling at me in the chat.
Oh, good.
As they
Don't worry,
should.
Caitlin. They're yelling at you too.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hey, yell at Drag. Drag had a really good emo scene too. Don't look at me.
I got my yells. I saw it
Okay.
in chat. I got
Okay.
some stuff as
Okay,
well.
good. All right. Meanwhile, Mason remains the most innocent of all of us.
Innocent
Freeman
of all
remains-
crimes.
And for
well,
now,
Couple of episodes.
Mason has had a long several months of running over here, training new superpowered, trying to solve a dispute here. He's so happy that he didn't have to answer any calls.
He didn't have to do any administrative work. His email was closed for like 2
Yeah,
weeks.
he had his out of office in
He
there.
has the out of office automatic response, you know, like the
But he's a bad habit of checking his device now for no good reason.
yeah, getting a little bit mad about it every time.
Oh,
He deleted the email app. Like he's like, God, I don't even need to look at this
Never.
anymore.
Oh man. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Thanks for coming back to space with us. We will be back next week, of course, next Wednesday for more Infinite Horizon. And of course, this week we will return on Friday with Ramblemancy, where we'll be talking with Scriv, who is just an excellent person all around and just going to be so much fun to talk about teaching TTRPGs with. So that's 7 p.m. Pacific time on Friday. Just some quick reminders. I think everybody who is here is, but if you are not, if you happen to be lurking and not in our Discord already, you should get in there, because that's where you can get the most up-to-date information about anything that's happening on the channel. It's where we go to first whenever any new information comes out. So good place to keep an eye out. It's also a great place to just talk with other people about this show and other shows, or literally anything else.
you can go to the Infinite Horizon channel and you can yell at us if you like. It's totally fine.
Yeah, just because the stream ends doesn't mean you have to stop yelling at
Yeah.
or about us.
Exactly.
I'm in there right now. Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Freeman's ready to take your calls. So
Standing by to be on the receiving end of some shouting. Let's do it.
so yeah,
Should
no,
we-
it's
Should we do some end of
go
stream
for
announcements?
it. Go for it.
Yes, we have a Patreon. We have some beautiful world builders out there who have done some amazing world building and are working on some currently, if I'm not mistaken, or have. I'm very
Yeah.
suspicious. I'm looking at you
We
guys.
did some cool stuff yesterday, but also some other stuff.
Ooh, scary.
We'll find out. And there's also some cool story building kernels that we make and that you can insert into your games. If you subscribed, then you get some rewards.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's lower tier. I
Yeah,
believe
it's
it's some
the-
lower tier, the
Yeah.
end of month media, and it's all backlogged if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So there's all the stuff there. We have a coffee.
We do.
Check out our coffee. It'll tell you our short-term goals. Toss a few bucks if you so please.
Mhm.
We also have merch.
Ooh.
As you can see, I've been advertising the mug all evening. We have these cool stickers which the updated art is on these stickers now, but not the shirt, not yet. But the shirts, I'm gonna tell you, this has got to be the most comfortable shirt. I'm not stripping, I swear. It's just a shirt. It's got to be the most comfortable shirt.
Yeah.
Ever.
Season 1 babies.
They're so soft. Oh my god.
Oh,
Gemini,
damn.
Rose,
Hype
Heart of
train.
Handprints. Thank you so
Can we
much.
get double 5, guys?
Oh my
Let's
God.
Oh, is
do
it happening at the end?
This is an end
This
of
is
stream.
new.
Oh my
This
gosh,
Oh,
this
good.
is a trick.
Yes.
Oh my
Gracious.
God.
Well,
This is the
We're already at
reason
level
to not
4.
going offline.
Hey, we
Wait,
can go
what?
to level 5.
Wait, who's here?
Oh my god.
Hey, you can't
well,
make it to level 5. We've got 4
Hell
minutes. and
yeah.
6
I'm
seconds.
sorry, I'm not even on chat, so I don't know what's happening, but I can feel the goodness.
I mean, there's just a whole bunch of
Oh
gift
my-
subs being thrown
Oh
around.
my gosh.
Damn, okay, we hit level
What?
5.
Wow.
What?
Okay. This is not how I
Wow,
expected
okay.
the stream to end, but
No,
here it
same.
is. Holy crap.
Level
I-
6 doesn't exist, but I bet we can't make it. Let's do it.
It's amazing.
They're keeping us on our toes.
Yeah.
They do it at the beginning sometimes, and now they're throwing it in
Oh
at
my
the
God.
end. To throw
Well,
us up.
like, here's the thing. The nice thing is, if you've just received a gift sub right now and you jump
Right.
in the Discord, that means that entitles you to a whole backlog of Patreon rewards.
right.
So, yeah.
There's
Oh.
character journals and there's all of the everything that Freeman just described, the tabletop tool chest, and things you can put in your games, and
Yeah.
I think someone was talking about the World Builders tour.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tier, which
Over here, we see that
Which
we
is-
make it.
which is not at the sub level,
Right.
but you can be
Oh
taunted
my
by that channel
God.
that exists,
Doll
and maybe you'll want to get in
32,
there.
Thank you
Oh my
so
gosh.
So now
much.
we can
Holy
get.
crap.
Now let's get into the mythical level 6 that doesn't actually
It doesn't
exist
actually-
type
Oh
anyway.
my gosh.
My
Oh
gosh.
my god.
Y'all,
Thank
we
you
missed
all
you.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Welcome
Seriously.
to 2021 with Infinite
Yeah.
Horizons.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So many of the things that we have been able to do thus far are exclusively due to Patreon patrons and Twitch subscribers. Like, y'all have basically made this possible, as well as like all the crazy, like awesome stuff that we're able to do with our other shows. Like,
Y'all pay for the art, you pay for the music,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's truly incredible. So, thank you all so much. And yeah, like special shout out to our patrons, of course, because like the work that the World Builders put in to making some cool shit for this show is incredible. There's some really, really good stuff coming up. Like some stuff that was like, it's like a backlog of stuff. Like y'all haven't even seen most of the stuff that the World Builders have made because there just hasn't been a place to put them in yet. But they're coming. I have plans. I know where things are gonna sort of fit in. So you're gonna get to see some really cool stuff that the World
I got to
Builders.
share lots of stuff
Ooh.
recently. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So.
Maybe we can't get to 200%. Okay.
Track.
Love it.
Taunting them.
So thank you all so much. Remember that Caitlin's charity stream tomorrow.
Yeah, come watch me make a fool of myself on the internet, but like more than usual.
Yeah.
My sisters will be there to bully me. It'll
Yeah,
be great. 6
it'll be
p.m.
great.
on my Twitch channel.
And of course, the return of Power Play.
Sunday, season 2. It's gonna be so fun.
I
Rick
need to
left us
catch up with
with
season
like
1. I'm so far
7
behind.
I know.
cliffhangers.
I'm in the same boat. Like I intended to catch up over break, and I definitely didn't do that. But yeah, I have many incentive now.
I'm very excited. It's
Yeah.
gonna be fun.
Drac.
So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
plug the Ram of the Frost Maiden campaign. We're gonna be starting over on Vanna's channel. That's Havana Rama on Twitch.
Is it? I thought it was just. Isn't it just Vanna?
Oh no,
now?
I think it's just
I think
Vanna.
it's
No,
just
yeah,
Vanna now,
Havana
yeah.
Rama is on Twitter.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just Vanna on Twitch. I'm literally looking at character art we just got done. It's fucking great.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's called From Dusk Till Dawn. No, From Dark Till Dusk. And it's gonna be great. Just watch it, please. Be there.
Yeah,
We've been planning a lot of stuff in the background. The other players I'm playing with are amazing as well. So it's gonna be a ton of fun.
Hell yeah.
Oh, there's also gonna be giveaways. I forgot about that.
Ooh.
They're gonna be gonna be giving away a
stuff.
copy of the Ram of the
Cool.
Frost Maiden. I think on D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond is gonna be giving away So we're going to give out codes for that as well.
Sick.
So if you don't care about us at all, that is fine. I get it. But if you want a free copy of the adventure module, check out the stream.
Excellent.
Solid.
All right, everybody. We will see you on Friday for Ramblemancy. But if not, we will see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night, and good zone,
Thanks
everybody.
for joining us.
Thank you. One more time, thank you so much to everybody who gifted subs, everybody who threw out bits, everybody who followed tonight. Thank you to our patrons and everybody always and forever. Good night.
New Year.
Good night and good zone, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.